Welcome to Thriller Recaps. Today, I am explaining the movie, The Unhealer, explaining every scene as it happens. Watch till the end, and please like, share and subscribe if you enjoy this. The movie begins by showing an old man driving to an Indian burial ground at night, while listening to music inside his van. He digs up a grave when he gets there and removes a skull. He throws the skull on a drawing he made on the floor, and he is blown aside by the force from a small explosion that occurred. In another scene, a boy named Kelley walks into a supermarket where he greets the cashier, Paulette. He pays for what he bought and greets a girl named Dominique, who smiles back and replies to him. Dominique's friend asks her why she still speaks to Kelley, and she tells her he was the only person who was nice to her when she moved to the area 10 years ago. Outside, Kelley gets bullied by some boys from school, and it gets worse when Dominique tries to stop them. Paulette comes out and asks the boys to let him go before she called the cops on them. In school, Kelley faces humiliation as the whole school laughs at him after watching the video the boys made of him. After school, he makes it home in time to help his mom take groceries inside the house, and he eats the receipt she asked him to bring for her. Dominique is shocked when her mom calls Kelley weird for always eating things like pencils and paper after she told her that Nelson, a boy that liked her, bullied Kelley. A man performs a ritual with a skull on an open land. Kelley is checked at home by a doctor who lets his mom know that he is very malnourished due to his illness, pica. He tells her that he thinks Kelley should see a psychologist as he thinks the eating disorder is psychological. He asks her out on a date, and she doesn't give him a reply. Reverend Pflueger, who went to the Indian burial ground, gathers a crowd around him. He tells people he has the power to heal people from any kind of illness. He heals a woman with a bad knee and back, and everyone watches as she gets healed, including Bernice, Kelley's mom. Bernice approaches him and asks for his help to see Kelley, who is critically ill. She tells Pflueger she will start her car, and he can drive after her for directions to her house. A man named Red Elk approaches Pflueger and asks him to return the power he took from the grave, as it will eventually destroy him. He tells Pflueger he and his family have been protecting the grave for 100 years, and now that Pflueger has taken the power, there will be a problem. Pflueger insults Elk and leaves him to follow Bernice. They make it to the house, where Pflueger asks for his payment first before going inside. He approaches Kelley and attempts to heal him but gets shaken. He asks to use the restroom, where he drinks and sniffs a substance. He walks back out and tells Kelley they are similar because they both experience pain. He tells Kelley that he has half a lung, and when Kelley asks him why he still smokes, he tells him it's not his business. Pflueger tells them that once he starts the healing process, it must not be stopped or disturbed. He starts the healing, and his cigarette falls on Kelley's chest, burning him. Pflueger starts to pee on himself before falling down to the ground and dies. Kelley sits up and tells his mom he is hungry, something he hasn't felt in a long time. The police and paramedics go to the house and carry Pflueger out. An officer tells Bernice and Kelley that Pflueger was conning them, and when he asks to see the burn mark from the cigarette, there is no sign of it on Kelley's chest. The next day, Kelley is trying to fix his old bike when he gets a cut. He watches as the wound heals immediately. He tells his mom as she is going to work, but she doesn't understand what he is saying. While Kelley is going to get a new part for his bicycle, Elk watches him. Dominique and her friend approach Kelley, and Dominique tells him she is happy to see him looking healthy. Nelson's brother, Reed, approaches Kelley to bully him but is shocked when he is the one feeling the pain instead of Kelley. Kelley gets a job at a pizza shop, and when his mom gets back from work, he tells her the good news. Reed's father knocks on their door and tells Bernice that Kelley did something to his son. Bernice gets angry and shuts the door on his face when he confirms he knew Reed bullies her son. Kelley shows his mom what happened by asking her to pinch him. Kelley writes down a bunch of professions he could go into, like the Navy, and Bernice asks him to calm down as they don't know if he can withstand fire or a bullet. He uses a lighter on his hand and doesn't feel any pain. Bernice tells Kelley that what is happening needs to stay between the both of them so he doesn't draw attention to himself. In school, Kelley watches Dominique from afar, and in class he returns her hair tie after eating the tag. Kelley starts to imagine Dominique and her friend arousing him, and he is shocked to see it is affecting the three of them. He runs out of the class in embarrassment. During a bonfire, Kelley approaches Nelson and his gang when they carry Dominique, who asks them to stop. The situation starts to get out of hand, and Nelson's father, who is the school's coach, breaks it up. Kelley leaves to go back home and starts to get chased by Nelson and his friends in their car. An accident happens as they try to run over Kelley, but Brad, the boy driving, gets severely injured instead. They all run away when they see Kelley standing, and he tells them he just wants to be left alone, and their bullying is what caused what happened. Kelley sees a car approaching and runs away to the side to change. Dominique and her friend get to the scene and see what happened. They call the police and ask Kelley what happened. He tells them that they ran him over and ran away, and Brad got hurt in the process. When the police get there, they ask the boys questions, and the coach asks them to lie about what happened so they don't get into trouble for running Kelley over. Bernice gets to the scene and is surprised that Kelley told Dominique about the powers. Bernice and Dominique tell Kelley he has to lie about what happened to the police to prevent suspicion. At school, Dominique tells Kelley the whole town knows about the accident, and if the police stick with the story they told, everything should be alright. Nelson and his crew talk about dealing with Kelley, and Reed tells them that he doesn't want to get involved because of what happened to Brad. Dominique coerces Kelley into asking her out to see a movie, and he does. Kelley gets approached by Elk, but he gives him short answers and leaves. At home, he tells his mom he asked Dominique out, and she said yes. He offers to buy her aspirin after she told him she has a terrible headache. He leaves, and Nelson and his gang tie their car to the trailer where Kelley lives, unaware that his mom is inside. She tries to leave, but the door is locked. The gas pipe gets pulled out, and when a lamp falls to the ground, the trailer explodes. Kelley makes it back home and rushes in to save his mother, but she was already dead. He is taken to the hospital, and the doctor tells Sheriff Adler that most of the burn marks on Kelley's body were from Bernice. Adler asks if the doctor can keep Kelley for another night, while he sorts out his release since he doesn't have any next of kin. Elk approaches Adler in the hospital and tells him that Kelley has something that belongs to his people, and he is sure Adler must have sensed it in Kelley since he is from a similar tribe. Bernice is buried, and Kelley leaves for Pflueger's grave. Dominique follows him and tells him she is sorry about his mother's death. She asks him to cry as no one will call him weak for crying. Kelley hugs and kisses Dominique before he has to leave town with Adler. Inside the car, Adler asks Kelley if the trailer had been moved because the support fell off. Nelson and his gang drive to meet up with Adler's car, and they make fun of Kelley. Reed tells them they need to tell the police it was an accident, but they ask him to shut up. Kelley gets angry after piecing everything together, and Adler asks him to calm down. In anger, Kelley jumps out of the car and goes after Nelson and his gang. He walks towards them slowly, and sees them playing inside the water. He starts to choke Tucker with his powers until he drops dead. They all turn and see Kelley, and he tells them he has dealt with one of them and now it's just 3 left. Kelley leaves when he hears the sounds of people walking towards them. Nelson and his friend watch as Kelley leaves, and Reed comes towards them with Adler. They lie to Adler and another officer about what happened. At night, Dominique is on the phone with her friend Sarah when she hears a sound by her window. She goes towards it and sees Kelley's favorite snack there. Her mom enters the room and asks her to keep her windows locked as Kelley is still out there. Kelley asks Dominique to follow him, and he explains what happened to her. She tells him that revenge is wrong and instead, he should just get them to confess. In class, Kelley walks in and pushes Tony to the wall until he pours chemicals on Kelley's face and dies instead with everyone watching. Dominique yells at Kelley, telling him that wasn't the plan, and Sarah gets injured when she tries to kick Kelley. Kelley turns his attention towards Nelson to try and get him to confess, and Dominique pushes Nelson to confess, scared that Kelley will hurt him. Adler and a teacher walk back into the class, and Adler asks Kelley to stop. Kelley runs out of the class. At night, Sarah goes to see Nelson, and she tells him she saw Kelley puking after eating grass on Pflueger's grave. Kelley watches them as they talk in the car. They go to take part of the grass so they can use it against Kelley. Nelson's dad tells Nelson and Reed they are going to the field the next day, and that he didn't raise them to be weaklings scared of Kelley. Adler and Elk go to dig up Pflueger's grave. Adler goes to meet Gus where he is training Nelson and Reed. He sees the chains in the truck belonging to Gus and questions Nelson and Reed on what they used it for. They lie to him and tell him they don't know what he is talking about. Kelley goes to the truck and brings out a drill. He approaches them on the field and asks them to confess. Reed runs away after telling Kelley he didn't have anything to do with his mother's death. Kelley uses the drill on himself and starts to hurt Nelson with it. Adler asks him to stop and holds Gus back, who doesn't understand why Nelson is the one feeling the pain. Dominique sees them and rushes towards Kelley. Gus picks up Adler's gun and shoots Kelley, but he and Nelson die instead. Dominique yells at Kelley, telling him he is the reason why they are dead, and he tells her they chose to do the things they did. Kelley starts to get emotional when Dominique tells him his mother won't be proud of him because of the things that happened. Adler tells Kelley he can help him get rid of the powers. At first, Kelley tells Adler and Dominique he doesn't want to get rid of the powers as that is what makes him confident. Dominique tells Kelley she doesn't like the new Kelley and that she wants the old Kelley back, so he agrees. They drive to Pflueger's grave where Elk is waiting for them. They start the ritual to remove the spirit inside Kelley, but they can't get it out. Elk tells Adler that it has stayed too long in Kelley's body, and the only thing they can do is to kill Kelley. Dominique asks Kelley to run just as the police approach them. An officer shoots at Kelley and dies when he receives the bullet instead of Kelley. Kelley and Dominique fall into Pflueger's grave. Kelley turns to see Dominique seriously injured and starts to cry. He tells her he loves her and starts to scream as he digs into Pflueger's body for his heart. While the bodies of Kelley and Dominique are taken away, Dominique wakes up, a sign that she now has the powers. Subscribe for more daily videos. Your support, likes, shares, and subscriptions mean a lot. See you in the next video.